There's an old rumor that black people don't know how to swim. So if you want to take a brother or a sister out without nobody asking no questions, all you gotta say is that they drowned. And it's kinda ironic how Malcolm Jamal Warner and Whitney Houston both passed away underwater. And it also been reported that they was allegedly a couple back in the day, and he had secret information about her passing and the passing of a whole lot of other black celebrities that he was going to air out on his Not Hood at All podcast.
Some breaking news to report, and it's extremely sad. Malcolm Jamal Warner, the actor most famous for his role as Bill Cosby's son, Theodore Huxtable, on the NBC hit sitcom The Cosby Show in the 80s and early 90s, has died. Police say he drowned off the coast of Costa Rica yesterday while vacationing with his family.
The Los Angeles coroner's office finally revealing what killed the superstar singer who was found, as you know, underwater in her hotel bathtub on February 11th. ABC's Juju Chang has the latest.
Whitney Houston's sudden death 6 weeks ago at the Beverly Hilton Hotel was shocking, but not exactly a mystery. Now the coroner's toxicology report clarifies what many people suspected: cause of death, drowning, and cocaine use. Officially, Houston's death is classified as an accident. She drowned in the bathtub. But according to the coroner's report, cocaine and metabolites were also identified and were contributory to the death, as was heart disease.
Now this ain't nothing but an unsolved mystery. They was able to sprinkle a little bit of coke on Whitney Houston's mystery just so people won't be asking too many questions. Now Malcolm Jamal Warner passed in the same fashion. I got a million questions. Malcolm Jamal passed away underwater. Whitney Houston passed away underwater. Aaliyah plane crashed in the water. They making it seem like that was the first time Whitney Houston got high in a bathtub or a jacuzzi.
Also in Houston's system, a host of other drugs doctors say did not contribute. Among them, marijuana, Xanax, and Benadryl. Houston died the night before the Grammys, just hours before a music industry party she was planning to attend. She had struggled for years with drug and alcohol problems, but told ABC's Diane Sawyer she had overcome her demons.
I can't tell you it's all going to be perfect, Diane, and I can't
because
tell you.
everybody says it's day by day, day by day.
Yeah.
But now do you say not at all, or do you say I can?
Well, I'm not going to tell you that. I could tell you that I am not self-destructive. I'm not a person who wants to die. I'm a person who has life and wants to live.
We still waiting to see what's going to happen with Malcolm Jamal Warner's funeral. I'm pretty sure it's going to be plenty of celebrities that's going to come out there to show their love and respects to this man. And the saddest part about all this is we'll never see another brother like Malcolm Jamal unless we time travel and they cast somebody else to be the son of the Cosby Show. But even if they did that, that don't mean that person gonna have the same principles, the same ethics, the same characteristics as this man. He was truly a godsend. We was blessed to know that he existed. Rest in peace to Malcolm Jamal Warner. And I could say the same thing about Whitney Houston, a beautiful, powerful sister that plenty of people loved and admired. Her voice been heard all across the world, maybe in other galaxies by now. They travel with that classical music out of space. So when them aliens want to know about Earth, they'll hear a beautiful voice like Whitney Houston so they won't bomb on us like Tupac. Rest in peace to Whitney. Rest in peace to Malcolm Jamal Warner. It's a shame that they passed away in that water. Tell these YouTubers, don't be taking my ideas and making it seem like it's theirs, man. All they do is bite off my material. I'm sick of it. If you hear anybody come out talking about Malcolm Jamal Warner and Whitney Houston, get in their comment section and let them know where you heard it first. Cause I could see through the lies. I could see how Whitney Houston and Malcolm Jamal Warner got done the same way by the same people.
Whitney Houston is on her way home. At this moment, a private plane carrying the body of one of America's blazing stars back to the church in Newark, New Jersey, where it all began. Her funeral expected there later this week. She started as a choir girl with a voice that rained out holy fire, becoming the supernova who would break the sound barrier again, all the while battling her drugs, her alcohol, and her fear. So what happened in the end? ABC's Jim Avila is with us now to tell us what we've learned tonight about how Whitney Houston died in that hotel room at the age of 48. Jim?
Diane, Beverly Hills police had put a hold on the autopsy results and refused to release the 9/11 tapes, the 911 tapes of the call from the Beverly Hilton Hotel here. But they have allowed the coroner's office to release Whitney Houston's body to her family this weeks before any kind of decision on the cause of death can be reached. The LA County coroner released Whitney Houston's body today, and she is on the way home to New Jersey on a private jet. The autopsy complete, fluids taken for toxicology reports, but results not expected for at least 8 weeks. And while sources tell ABC News there were no signs of trauma or foul play on her body, no visible trace of illegal drugs, there were prescription bottles in the bathroom where Houston was found in the tub. And as seen in these photos obtained by TMZ, alcohol in the room, both champagne and beer. Still, that's not enough evidence for medical examiners to declare a definitive cause of death.
No matter what medications they're taking, until we run a tox and see the level and what's in the system, we're not going to speculate.
At the Beverly Hilton Hotel today, the singer's entourage moved out. Sources tell ABC News many are being questioned about Houston's last hours, but police insist this is not a homicide investigation.
At this time, we're conducting a death investigation, and we need to be very clear about that. We do not know the cause of death. We don't know the circumstances leading up to her death.
Here's what we do know about those circumstances. Thursday night, Whitney Houston danced and partied at a Hollywood nightclub. Pictures show her sweaty and disheveled, one leg bloody. Friends say she was drinking champagne. Friday, Houston is seen skipping around the Beverly Hilton lobby, somersaulting at the pool. Again, her clothes in disarray and her hair wet, as she awkwardly interrupts a press interview conducted by
I do 2 hours a day.
She looked bad. Her clothes didn't match. Some people said she smelled of alcohol.
On Saturday, Houston talked by phone with her cousin and godmother Dionne Warwick and her mother Sissy. And minutes later, she went into the bathroom to prepare for a performance scheduled for the music business elite at Clive Davis's pre-Grammy party. She died alone, her body discovered by her entourage submerged in the tub. She was not breathing, she had no pulse, and could not be revived. 24 hours later, the music industry she once dominated honored her at the Grammys, an award she won 6 times. And even today, after her sudden death, 7 of the top 10 albums sold on Amazon.com are hers. The police and coroner's investigators do know the types of drugs that were found inside the bathroom, the prescription drugs, including Valium and an antibiotic. What they don't know are the levels in her body, and that, of course, is key, Diane.
That's right, Jim. And with all these unanswered questions, I'm going to bring in ABC's Chief Health and Medical Editor, Dr. Richard Besser. Rich, 8 to 10 weeks until they have these tests released?
Well, that's a long time. The LA Coroner's Office told me 8 to 10 weeks is their standard practice. But I talked to medical examiners around the country, and they say the actual testing takes 2 to 3 days. Add a little time to double check that. Many say they will hold the results if there's a possible criminal investigation.
And how to tailor these results? Can you tell how recently she had, what amount of alcohol or anything else?
You can tell some of that. You can tell, the big causes of death, heart attack, stroke, where there's a clot to the lung. You can see if there's been alcohol consumption recently or cocaine use recently. Drug use that goes way beyond that, it depends on the particular drug.
Today, earlier, you were saying to me, when someone of her age dies in a bathtub, that is extremely unusual. Older people, younger people, perhaps, but we don't know if it was drowning, but the very fact of it is so unusual.
That's right. Those other groups will drown. Someone who's 48, it's very rare to see drowning unless there was something else involved.
Y'all heard what she said. You can expect this stuff from a child or a baby. Malcolm Jamal Warner was out there with his daughter, and she survived. And he out there like a baby boy, can't swim, ain't got no muscles, ain't got no strength, but the baby survived and the daddy passed. Then you got people talking about, well, he sacrificed his life for the baby. The hell with that. We both getting up out this water. He loved his daughter enough to want to live with her. He ain't let no punk ass current take him out, but that's what they want the people to believe. Now, I ain't trying to make this no conspiracy theory, but y'all can see it for yourself. They was connected. Now they still connected in mystery.
Malcolm Jamal Warner, dead at the age of 54 on a drowning accident while he was vacationing with his family in Costa Rica. Joining us now, Bomani Jones, host of the Right Time with Bomani Jones podcast, and entertainment journalist Segun Odulo to share their thoughts there. And Bomani, if I could begin with you, of course it was difficult, and he spoke quite publicly about this, Malcolm Jamal Warner, when Bill Cosby was accused, later convicted of multiple cases of sexual assault. He was asked about it in a 2015 interview, and he said, he's one of my mentors, and he's been very influential, played a big role in my life as a friend and mentor. Just as it's painful to hear any woman talk about sexual assault, whether true or not, it's just as painful to watch my friend and mentor go through this. How did he handle it in the years since he left the show, just that the larger Bill Cosby controversy and scandal?
I mean, I guess you would argue that he handled it about as well as he could, because it's not like what Bill Cosby did is something that he himself could answer for. And it's got to be super tricky, not only because Cosby was kind of a vehicle for the fame and what his life ultimately became, but also because specifically the vehicle that they were attached to was so attached to the idea of wholesomeness, and that this guy is like everybody's dad. And then you find out that your dad perhaps might be a terrible person. That's a rough go for anybody. And so I noticed for all the members of that cast, for us, Bill Cosby was just kind of he's not somebody we knew in general. He's just an idea. And so for those people, you're reckoning with the person you thought you know, the person that was actually there, and the idea that happened to be a vehicle for everything that happened in your life. So it's kind of hard for me to evaluate how anybody would or would not have handled it, because it's such a particular situation.
Yeah, Segun, this is, I mean, we all know Malcolm Jamal Warner for this role, right? But he also was so accomplished as a Grammy-winning musician. He had a recent podcast. He spoke out about being a black man in society and what that meant, and that's a voice that's needed. And that portrayal that he brought was groundbreaking. Can you talk a little bit about the mark that he's leaving here? It's just incredibly sad when we think of what a young age he died at.
Yeah, the passing of Malcolm Jamal Warner is horrific. And, I know Elizabeth Wagmeister and one of the entertainment reporters that you had on before, but culturally, and I think Bomani and myself can speak to this, this is like the loss of a family member, in that, look, I'm the child of immigrants, and my dad is a PhD, my mom is a therapist. Malcolm Jamal Warner was the first time I saw somebody that looked like me and my brothers on television that my parents could relate to. The conversations that he would have on screen with his television dad were the same conversations about going to college and cleaning your room that I was having with my father. So his voice as a black man on screen, and then afterwards, just the man he was, the smile, the artist, the Grammy you mentioned, he was also on Def Poetry Jam. There was an aura about him of just class and grace. And for me at my age, it's like losing a family member, because we grew up with him. Like I grew up watching this kid go through the same things that I was going through while he's on camera. And so culturally, his passing is so tremendous to our community as black men, because he was a father himself. Like, he embodied the things that maybe Bill Cosby it turned out wasn't, but Malcolm Jamal Warner was those things. He kept his life private. And so again, I'm almost at a loss for words, because when I saw the news, I could not believe it. 54 is not only so young, but what he meant to me growing up, and to a great many of us, to see something like that to see us represented is so powerful. It's definitely a tragic loss, not just for the entertainment community, but the black community as a whole. We lost somebody that I throw it to you, Bomani. I grew up watching him and laughing, and my dad did the same thing. I brought you into this world, I'll take you out. He just did it with a Nigerian accent.
It's such a good point that he, in his life, tried to live up to that wholesome image himself, Segun. It's such a great point. Sorry, Bomani, go ahead.
No, I was going to say the dynamic that Segun pointed out is interesting, because my parents are both professionals. But the thing is, the Cosby Show comes out in '85. I'm 5 years old, so I don't have a recollection of the world without the Cosby Show. And so what was revolutionary for a lot of people, for me, was much more commonplace, because of the life they showed was more similar to a life that I recognize. Now, what I always find to be interesting, and not that this was that different from many sitcoms, but as much as Cosby had a tendency to fall into traps of respectability politics, those kids were driving him crazy at every turn. And the Theo Huxtable drive him crazy was interesting in the first couple of seasons of the show because it's just basically your son's a screw up who says he wants to be a regular person. He had to tell him that that's why he made D's and everything. The progression of the character was one who had actually an undiagnosed learning disability, which I think created a relatability to a lot of people in circumstances where they felt like they were doing their best and just couldn't get it right. And so it went from being a joke that Theo can't get it right to you recognizing, oh, there's a reason. And there's way ahead of kind of a conscientiousness that we have now about those issues. But it also, I think the term class was used, but as the Theo Huxtable character gets older, he just gets a whole lot cooler. Like that was somebody that you could see by the end of it and be like, yo, I wouldn't mind kicking it like that guy kicks it. So as much as we could talk about like these kind of deeper issues of how it affected Black people, in the end, this worked because it was an entertaining television show. And a big part of why it was entertaining is he gave one of the more realistic portrayals of a teenager on screen while actually being a teenager. Because normally people who get that right are actors who are older and can look back on what their lives were. In real time, he was capturing what a 14, 15, 16-year-old would be in a very relatable format for not just Black people, but also Americans. Like, it's crazy to think how many white people watched that show at the time, given how decidedly Black it was. So we can claim the character very closely, certainly, but let's be careful and not lose sight of the fact that this was an American character that was shared by the country from coast to coast.
Rest in peace to Malcolm Jamal. Rest in peace to Whitney Houston. It's sad to see that the media be playing games like this. We don't know what be going on with these celebrities or how they be passing or what they tied up into. They be holding on to secrets, can't tell nobody, keeping their wives' secrets, keeping their family secrets. They can't say nothing to the public because the public ain't gonna do nothing but gossip and make fun of these people, so they gotta keep it a secret. But a lot of times, secrets can get you killed. Secrets could be the reason why you no longer here. That's why it's best to live a life to where you could be honest. All y'all men out there cheating, you need to live a life to where you could be honest. Be a player, be a Mac. Let people know what you do. And for y'all women too, don't be sleeping with all these different men trying to keep it a secret, because when you get exposed, you ain't gonna have nowhere to live. It's hard out here already. People need to figure out ways to be more honest. But unfortunately for these celebrities, they sworn to secrecy. And that secrecy catch up with them in the end. I don't know what Malcolm Jamal was keeping inside, but he made that podcast making it seem like he was ready to tell it. Whitney Houston was with this man back in the day. Lord knows what he knew. Now we'll never know. Y'all let me know how y'all feel about this in the comment section. Like I said, rest in peace to the beautiful Whitney Houston. Man, let me know. I'm going to be listening. One thing before I go. Subscribe to my channel if that's what you want.
Subscribe to my channel if